Well, you sent me something about who you are, and I've been thinking about Robbie,
Yeah.
Robbie
Okay.
Gautreaux,
Yeah.
good friend of mine, my jiu-jitsu professor. I trained jiu-jitsu with you. We're going like 3 or 4 years now,
Yeah.
and I'm not any closer to being able to beat you up.
I don't know about that.
Anyway, I never got closer, but I grew a lot as a person, and jiu-jitsu is I want you to talk about it more, but jiu-jitsu is very, very special. It's a superpower, and it's way more than just learning how to defend yourself. I did not realize the life-changing implications of what is bred into you on the mats translates into your everything about your character,
Yeah.
and that's really cool. But I'll say this. So about you, a summary of you. I want you to talk about yourself, but I'll say what I think about you, if you don't mind, from my perspective. I think that you're a very selfless person. I think you're very, very caring. I think you genuinely root for people. I think you're a person of excellence. Since I've joined your gym, I always watch your friends have, car repair shops, or they bring in their kids to this competition to do this and this. And I always look on Facebook, and you're always sharing their posts and liking their posts. And great. I mean, you're just rooting for every part of a person's life and success. And that's truly, truly amazing. But I think the world about you. Like I said, jiu-jitsu changed my life. You're a person of excellence. Your gym is the best gym I've ever been to. It's always the cleanest. You have cultivated you have a culture there. I think you probably have over 200 or 300 members at your gym, but yet you still have this culture there of every person there's respect, and we all have the context of the bigger picture of what we're trying to do in jiu-jitsu, which is beautiful. Everyone there is growing. There's not a person there with an ego that is hurtful or trying to hurt others. I just think you built something really special, and you should be really proud about that. So anyway, Robbie Gautreaux, jiu-jitsu black belt,
Thank you.
entrepreneur, business owner.
We just celebrated 14 years this week, and thank you for all the kind words. I try hard to not get, too choked up or emotional. I know, like you, because you and I interact, and I see when it makes you a little uncomfortable when people tell you nice things about yourself. Because we're, people that work hard are their own biggest critic, and you're always looking for a way. I didn't realize it either, Craig. I didn't realize I wanted to learn this cool thing that I thought was cool. Because like you said, it's a superpower. I, in my wildest dreams, never imagined the person it makes you become if you just push through the hard times. And the intangibles, the peace it brings you. Guys size each other up. You walk into a room, you feel people's energy. You see the guy poking his chest out. You know, sometimes you may feel intimidated in certain circles, or, Jiu-Jitsu does away with all that for you. It gives you the calm and confidence to be able to speak to anyone, to not feel intimidated. But it doesn't make you feel greater than either. You don't feel greater than, but you don't feel less than. And so many people, I mean, you and I both see and interact with people where their insecurities are so loud. You know what I mean? And because they feel like they have to make their presence known. And jiu-jitsu gives you that calming to where you don't need that anymore, because you can protect your bubble. You can protect your space. And there's a misconception between the ability to fight and the ability to protect yourself. And I see it most often like with women. Jiu-jitsu is an absolute superpower for a woman to be able to protect herself. Does that mean she should go out and pick a fight with an NFL lineman? No, it doesn't. Mm-mm. But she has the intelligence, the knowledge, and the skill set to keep her distance you know, and get away from a bad situation. In most cases.
And I've very commonly said, they said, I'm more likely, and this is true, to walk away from a fight now because the ego that would have made me try to prove myself in a scenario is no longer there.
Right.
Because I've engaged with some of the baddest men on
Right.
the planet.
Yeah.
And I'm
Right.
not that I'm saying I'm there, but
No,
I'm
but
saying I know for a fact I would win this scenario, but I don't
Right.
know if his friend has a bat, or I don't know if
Exactly.
I don't know what
Well,
the
and who's
scenario is, and
carrying
it makes you
around-
wise, and you don't have to do it. So.
Yeah, who's carrying around guns and knives and so it makes you consider all those. I think it makes our logical brain more intelligent because we learn to master our sympathetic nervous system. You know, you have your calm, regular state, and then you have your elevated fight, flight, or freeze state, you know. And the way we train, the way we practice, when you're learning to relax and breathe in uncomfortable situations, when somebody's suffocating you in the mount or trying to strangle you on your back, after a certain part of training, you learn to just stay calm, and you're looking for those exits. You're looking for that little bit of space. You're looking, that's what your brain is problem solving in those stressful moments. So I think we don't necessarily get that same adrenaline kick that someone who doesn't train gets in a situation, in a road rage event, in a, I don't know, you know, in an event where you walk in and man, even somebody that's having you know, like a health event, you know, I've had to do CPR a couple of different times, and both of them were since I've trained, and I was the calmest guy around, and it was, you know, hey, you call 911, and I'm giving chest compressions. Okay, somebody come relieve me, chest compressions.
Wow.
Both guys survived. It's great, you know.
Nice.
But you just stay calm in these stressful situations, and your brain keeps working. You know, that logical mind is still there.
I like how you just casually dropped that you saved 2 people's lives. That's pretty amazing.
Well,
pretty amazing. We can
Look, I believe that our Creator put me in the right place at the right time. It wasn't me. It was just, I was there. Was given these skills and gifts, you know, to utilize them.
Yeah. So you own Gracie United Ascension.
Yes.
You're also own real estate. I know you own a billboard.
Yes.
A digital billboard.
Yeah. So I think it all ties in, and I tell my entrepreneur friends and business friends, and you basically just gave your testimony about it. Jiu Jitsu is the single greatest return on my education I've ever gotten. The way, and I have a college degree, and I continually learn. I mean, I read books, multiple books a week. You know, I think to be a good teacher, you must be a good student. Just like to be a good leader, you must be a good follower of good leaders. You know, I think it's the fit into that circle of paradox, that the one in, you know, belongs to the other. So I love to learn, and the knowledge, strategy, intelligence, emotional intelligence, people intelligence, understanding of leverage has made me really interested into the game of business. And when you look at it as if it's a game, well, there's a scoreboard and there's moving pieces, and those are our levers. And how do you pull this lever? And, you know, and people are involved in that, right? Because people have different strengths. You and I have vastly different strengths, and they go well together. But you have, you know, your creativity in the tech world and the inventions that you come up with and these ideas that you have astound me. And of course, I have other ideas of strategize of how to get it to the right people, or, you know, have you considered this? Have you considered that? Those are some of my creativity, because I'm genuinely curious, you know, and how, like you said, it's just who I am. Is how can I add value to Craig in maybe a way he haven't thought about yet. You know what I mean? And just as in, yes. So one thing I learned early on what my drug was. My drug is when I see the light bulb go off in people's head. When I see them overcome something that challenged them previously that I was able to help them with. That's all I want. That's all my brain, that's my dopamine, you know. I don't get it from alcohol. I don't get it from drugs. I get it from seeing you win. Yeah. And if I had a little hand in helping you win, man, that.
Well, you've had a very big hand for me.
That's what does it for me.
I'll say that because I've always been. I would never call myself a genius, but I've been called that several times. I've been called that a lot. Yeah. But I don't consider myself that. My wife probably wouldn't consider me that. No. But I've always had that level, but it doesn't always translate into success. I've been highly technical. I've worked on cars my whole life, grew up in that, whatever. But there is a carnality to business in a sense where you have to be a certain presence and you have to have a fearlessness and you have to have a confidence.
Yeah.
And I think those are the things that you helped to breed into me. And it was the other day, it was like maybe 2 months ago, I had to go into a meeting, into a boardroom, and this company was a monster. It was $600 million annual revenue. Big. Wow. Everyone in there was this COO, CF, very high level. And I remember I just walked in, and I didn't think anyone in there was above me, and I was able to walk in and command the room and address each person individually and take the conversation where I knew it needed to go. In other words, I had no intimidation about it. And that's jiu-jitsu. And I know it's a very base thing to have in your heart, but just in the deep depths of you knew none of them could fight, and that we could lock the door and I'd be the only guy that would walk out of there. And I don't know why that gives you confidence, and I hate that, but it's weird. It's strange.
But it does. Well, look, we live in a relatively civilized society. Right? But what do they say? 3 days away. People have 3 days without food. Society breaks down. Where, how long you think, you and I have been through multiple hurricanes and multiple natural disasters our entire lives. But we're always driving distance to electricity. We're always driving distance to fuel, to power generator. Right. And what happens? How long does it take? If that shuts down, and people aren't in driving distance, 3 days.
Yeah.
A week tops. I guarantee not a week. So when it comes to people, this is a controversial thing, but man, truth normally is, right? Violence is the ultimate capital. Violence is the ultimate capital. So it's ingrained in our very base layer as a human. You know what I mean?
That was one of the most badass things I've ever heard anybody say.
But it really is, man.
Violence is the ultimate capital.
Think about it. Good thing it's good people like you and I that have this skill set. And when you talked about our culture, that's why I take it so seriously. I've had some parents in the past, or people in the past, that you're too tough on the respect part of making sure that even the youngest students can open the door for their mother, know how to tie their own belt, even if you're 3 years old, 4 years old, know the rules of bowing onto the mat and showing respect and reverence, because this superpower in the wrong hands puts a ticking time bomb out into society. So if everything we learn isn't done with the foundation of respect and honor and mutual respect, then I'm irresponsible.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Well, I'll say this, and what you're saying is amazing, and it really bears out in reality, because the kids at your gym are the most respectful and they are the most generous and they are killers. I mean, I've seen these. You got some little 15-year-old girls there
Yeah.
that will
Yeah. Yes.
dismantle grown men.
Yes.
And they're the sweetest, kindest, and the same thing. The young men, you know, I thought
It's the
about
village. It's
Yeah.
the village. It's, you know, something that I think a lot of people have to grow through is being genuine. You know, people walk through the world and wear a mask. And I get it, because I did too. But be genuine to who you are, because you're going to detract the wrong people and attract the right people. And I stopped catering to everyone years ago because God showed me not everybody's for you, and your spirit will irritate some demons and they will show out. And I'm protecting you from those people. And not just protecting you, but as the shepherd to your flock, protecting those too. And it's the village, the parents that are looking for what we offer, strengthen that. It strengthens the community. That's the part I'm most proud of. You know, I've been studying so much in business and entrepreneurial because I have some skill sets, but I'm missing in others, just like anybody else, right? And I need some of those tools. So I've been learning a lot and going to conferences and learning from people that are experts in those fields. And not just experts in those fields, but good at breaking it down to people that aren't experts, you know? And I've really been... Oh, I kind of lost my train of thought on that.
Yeah. So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
I'll let you get. You can keep thinking.
In the when it comes to business and the data on business, because if you're not measuring it, you're not managing it.
Right.
You know, and if you're not measuring something in business, exactly like what you talked about in the plants, the way you can measure everything for them and see where it's wasted and what's not, that's how you maximize and optimize your system. 80% of businesses fail. You know, what is it? 60% in the first year. 80% within 5 years. You know how many businesses make 10 years? 4%.
Wow.
96% of businesses fail in the first 10 years. Only 4 out of 100 businesses started in America make it past 10 years. And that, when I learned that number recently, I was like, those are 2 things that made me really feel good.
So your parents,
culture and that.
So your parents, they're both teachers.
My parents are both
and
teachers.
You grew up down the bayou. Is what everybody calls down the bayou, and that's Houma, Thibodeau.
LaRose specifically, but yeah. So Houma Thibodeau is kind of around. So Thibodeau would be the parish seat, and so Lafourche Parish goes straight down from Thibodeau all the way to Fouchon. It's a very long parish.
Okay.
Which is why it takes further to get from Thibodeau down to Fouchon than it does to make any 2 spots in Ascension Parish, even crossing the river.
And your parents aren't entrepreneurs? Did you have anyone else in your family who was an entrepreneur? So,
it's kind of funny you ask. We kind of, the worst thing that happened to us turned into the best thing that happened to us. So both my parents are school teachers. My mom is a librarian specifically, but an educator her whole life. My grandparents on both sides were entrepreneurs. My mother's folks had a little grocery store where she's from in Kramer. And they started that, you know, like over the Great Depression. So through tough times and learned to survive and learn. And her brother, who is my uncle that passed away just a couple of years ago, was also a school teacher, but always had like a side gig. He was great with numbers. In fact, he taught math for the talented and gifted, and he would always do tax preparation and investments. They didn't invest for other people, just for himself. And man, this was years ago. He told me he had just retired. He says, you know, I've made far more money investing than I have school teacher and tax preparer combined. he thought like a Warren Buffett type. Like he read and devoured that information, was so good with the numbers. Before anybody knew who Shake Shack was, he says, go invest in Shake Shack. Now you see him everywhere. He knew these kind of things like that. And he's some person I wish I could spend more time with. Because, man, because those are the things that interest me now. Why? Because it's leverage, right? It's jiu-jitsu in the real world. And these days, that's my passion, is to learn to help more people. Well, how can I help more people? Well, you can only scale a jiu-jitsu school so big. You can only fit so many people in our academy. Even if I built another academy, can only fit so many people in another academy. But I can help more people in business, applying the lessons of jiu-jitsu, of leverage, efficiency, you know. So yes, I've invested in a couple, you know, kind of like startup things that I'm helping to lead and helping business owners that have their great skill sets maximize and optimize what you already do well, and how can we do it better, and how can we help more people, and you know, so that's kind of where my passion is. It's just adding to the jiu-jitsu, you know what I mean? Because these are the lessons I learned, and it helps me to understand in a different way. You know, I can give them leverage. Well, what's leverage? Leverage is when you put, you know, a little bit of force and get a big result, right? So that's, you know, what I'm trying to help others to learn.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing, and such a great idea, because you see there's a lot of jiu-jitsu people who like you go on YouTube and they're teaching you how to do moves better, how to do jiu-jitsu better, which is wonderful, and I love that. I think it's sort of fascinating to see a jiu-jitsu black belt like yourself. And I say amongst the jiu-jitsu community, when you say jiu-jitsu black belt, that really means something, because they don't just give those away. Yeah. Like that's, you could go right now and say, I want to go and be a doctor.
Right.
And you will go through less suffering and probably get it done quicker than you could become a jiu-jitsu black belt.
Maybe less physical suffering, right? Less strangulations, less, you know, sore arms and sore wrists.
How long did it take you to get there?
10.5 years. You know, 10.5 years of pretty consistent training. I had one injury that, you know, sidelined me for a little while, but I think through that I made improvement, you know? So it is a grind for sure, but man, everything good that you're trying to get is on the other side of hard. Everything. And it's not the thing. And look, you work with businesses that are big, so you probably know more like uber wealthy people than I do. And all those people that made it, like didn't inherit it, like made it, they all tell you that the person they became through overcoming all the issues, overpowering the struggle, is vastly more valuable than the money they've earned.
Oh yeah.
And the same through jiu-jitsu. I don't care if somebody has all these world titles, all this kind of stuff. The person they become through overcoming all the struggle, through overcoming all of the pain, overcoming all the problem solving, is vastly superior to a medal.
Yeah, I'll ask you this. I don't put you on the spot. I know you don't know if you have the data, but how many world champions have been brought up through your
so we have 13
gym?
master world champions, and a few that are of the younger, the adult and juvenile level that have all medaled at worlds. So we have like 3 world medals at that level, which is, man, I tell people in jiu-jitsu world, the 2 most dangerous toughest divisions are adult black belt, obvious, these are like the pros, and those juvenile blue belts. Bro, these kids are at a level, Because they have the reps of a black belt, but they're in a 15, 16, 17-year-old's body. You know what I mean? Look, you know some strong 17-year-olds, you know? Now add that to this technique that was ingrained in them since they were 5 years old.
Dude, yeah. And when I was like 17 years old, I fell out of a tree and I just got up and walked off.
Yeah.
Now, dude, if I fell off this chair, we'd be in a
We'd have to call a hospital visit.
Yeah.
So the other side about my entrepreneur. So my grandfather was my grandfather on my dad's side served in World War II. Came home and was a contractor. Injured his back. You know, was there's still some very beautiful homes down the bayou that he built. Injured his back because of his military background, got into law enforcement. And, you know, Louisiana politics are notorious, right? So the sheriff that he was basically the right-hand man of or loyal to lost an election. And so my grandfather was dismissed, fired, terminated, you know, whatever. And so he has 8 children. So what are you going to do to feed your family? So he started a security guard business. Down the bayou, there's a lot of shipyards. You know, there's a lot of, that's where Loop is, Louisiana Offshore Oil Preserve.
A lot of oil and gas.
There's a lot of oil and gas stuff down there. So there was an opportunity to make sure that during certain hours that they had security on there. So he started that in 1974 or 1975. So he went from being injured, basically like welfare, to, you know, a $5 million a year business by the time I was a kid, you know. Wow. And that business is still running today.
Wow.
So that's what that business is 50 years old. Now my aunts run it. Well, my Aunt Peggy runs it and does an amazing job keeping that alive. And my cousin's with her, but yeah.
Nice.
So overcoming, and I started my jiu-jitsu school when I lost a job. So what do you do when life knocks you down? What do you do? Is it woe is me, or is it an opportunity to do something? God puts you on a path. Guess it depends on your perspective. Guess it depends on your faith. You know what I mean? I genuinely saw that as God opening a door. And, you know, thankfully, my life is far. I have to send you a picture if you want to throw it at the beginning of this, you know, what I looked like before I started jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
You know.
So you lived down the bayou with your family
till high school.
Till high school, and then you
and
left.
Came to LSU.
You came to LSU. And during high school, I guess, did you have a little job out there?
I mean, I was a lifeguard over the summer.
Okay.
I started teaching swimming lessons, like stroke lessons, when I was 12. Over the summer, we'd have like the same way we have open mat at the gym, they had like open lap swimming.
Okay.
So every evening between, I forget the times. Anyway, it was like an hour. And there was another lifeguard there because I was only 12, right? So there was another lifeguard there, and, you know, there were adults swimming around. And so I would swim on swim team since I was 4 years old. And so by the time I was 12, I got to be pretty good. And there were kids that were on the swim team as well who were just starting, you know, 4 years old, 5 years old, 6 years old. And they would jump in the water and immediately grab the rope. They couldn't cross the lane. And so we get together at lap swimming at night and for like 30 minutes. And I would start helping them with their strokes and teaching them different strokes. And this is when I figured out my gift, when I figured out my drug, the thing that really like lit, you know, that dopamine. I hate to keep using that, but people get that analogy, right?
Yeah.
People get that analogy. And I had 2 kids that were that. They jump in, grab the lane, to setting records and winning like championships by the end of the summer. And you're talking 2 months, 2.5 months is like,
nice,
you know, the summer league schedule. And I realized, I have a skill to explain motor skills. and help develop motor skills.
So what did you go to LSU for?
So my degree is in kinesiology, specifically human movement biomechanics, because that just is kind of what interested me.
Yeah, and so while you were at LSU, you were a cheerleader. You worked on the cheerleader first year, freshman. You went right
No,
into
I
it?
didn't start cheering until I was a junior. I had a coming into LSU. Actually, in high school, I was the third ranked male cheerleader in the country, but I had an unexplainable injury, and they found out. So I ended up kind of abandoning those dreams or whatever, and came to LSU. Just wanted to come to LSU. Was a normal student. This injury didn't go away, even though I did what the doctors said. You know, stop working out, stop irritating it, just rest it. So my first semester, my freshman year, I did just that. I actually would race road bikes. I would ride a lot, 50 miles and all that, just because I needed to do something. But it wasn't messing with the injury. It was in my left arm. So break between fall and spring semester, I go back to the doctor. I'm like, listen, this is just getting worse. Like, I'm having to take a leave 24 hours a day. Like, I would take one a leave, and I didn't have to take a lot. I'd take one a leave, and if it would wear out in the middle of the night, it would wake me up throbbing. Throbbing. So I said, listen, we have to do something. I did everything that you tell me to do, and it's just progressively getting worse. He's like, well, let's give you a shot of cortisone in each side of your elbow. I was like, why don't we, propose to take an x-ray first? Let's just see. I don't know. I'm 18 years old. I don't know. So sure enough, they go and they see I have a lump. And look, I have a crazy scar. I don't know. You can't zoom in or whatever. But I had a lump on my radius. I had a tumor in my bone. And it was preventing me because when your hand's like this, your radius comes over and crosses your ulna on the bottom. Okay. And when your hand does this, they run parallel.
Right.
Well, it was stopping them getting parallel because it would lodge it like that. And then it was pushing on nerves, and it was pushing on,
What was it?
It was what they call an osteoid osteoma. So they took it out, and immediately since then, I never had to take another thing. I didn't even take the pain pills post-surgery because it just did it.
Awesome, bro.
Yeah. So I didn't cheer right away. And then my junior year, I got a phone call from, one of my teammates at the time. Her name's Kelsey Walker. Todd Walker's her brother.
Okay.
Famous LSU guy. Mm-hmm. Played a lot of years in the major leagues. And I told her no on the phone for an hour. She finally convinced me, just come to practice. And I saw some familiar faces. I met the coach. He was one of my mentors, and still to this day, a lot of the energy that I bring, I have gotten from him, a lot of the lessons that he brought into my life. Stephen Evers, give you a shout out. And boom, all right, you convinced me. So then I started then and cheered till I graduated in 2000.
Nice.
Yeah.
I think I saw a video of you like running on the field and starting to backflip across the entire football field.
I used to flip from end zone to end zone.
Were you a gymnast beforehand?
No, my cousin was a national level gymnast, and he taught me to tumble.
No.
So I was a little fearless. So I was like, I've always had, here's one thing I tell people. You have to have the level of discernment to know who to listen to, but the magic is in finding good mentors, and probably outside of my parents, obviously. My first mentor was my Uncle Chip, and the two primary things he taught me was how to overcome my fears and discern if they're rational or irrational fears, assess risk, so take calculated risks, and then have the understanding that if somebody can, you can. And so I'm very fortunate to learn that at a young enough age to where I was willing to try stuff. I never started something from the premise of I can't. I think can't is a mind virus. I think it's a mind virus. If everybody still believed we couldn't fly, the world would be a different place. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just the level of resourcefulness that comes from believing if somebody can, you can, is vast relative to the level of resourcefulness from can't.
Yeah.
Can't is zero.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So you yeah, that's very powerful. So you graduated from LSU in kinesiology?
Correct.
And then you met where did you meet your wife?
So she and I met in, actually I went on an away trip that I wasn't cheering at. I was just, at that time, college, me and two of my other buddies that cheered. We were like, none of us are cheering this game, so let's go Mississippi State to the away game. And 1999. So I actually met her over there. She was friends with some of the Mississippi State cheerleaders, and obviously so were we, because we all taught camps together over the summer. And it was, 26 years later, here we are.
Yeah.
It wasn't always smooth sailing, I guess like every relationship, right? We took some time off in our 20s. And she'll tell you, she's like, I was ready to marry you then. I was like, yeah, but I was 22 years old. I was a child.
She's wonderful. Your wife is really wonderful.
She is a unicorn.
Glad that worked out for you.
Yeah, it's worked out.
I got a good one too, and you got a good one too. Dude, maybe that's why we're sitting here.
Probably so. Yeah, probably so.
Before, all this advice is fantastic, but number one, get a good woman.
Oh, dude, it is probably the most important decision you make. The most. So I started, in fact, Professor Hafiel and I were texting this week, about 14 years. He's like, aren't you glad, you got this, it saved you from a job you hated kind of thing. And, I did well, and I was in sales, in medical sales, and had some great relationships from there, but it wasn't what I was supposed to be doing. It wasn't like it was a bad job. In fact, Angela has a job and she loves it. It was just not for me. It's not what I'm supposed to be doing. And sometimes the struggle and for lack of a better word, misery, is God trying to put you on a different path. You know what I mean? He needs to show you, this is not for you. This is for you. And anyway, he was like, aren't you glad? I'm like, yeah, I'm vastly glad. But after I already started, I was offered another really good medical sales job. And if I didn't have Angela, who believed in me, and because just any other wife, no, you got to take this guaranteed, $200,000 a year job kind of thing. Yeah. You know what I mean? No, you got to go do this. We need you to do this. And she was, going back to school and doing all that. So it's like, we need you to go do this. And no, she believed in me. She says, but if you love this much, and, I think you'll do great. Now, we've exceeded even the expectations of she thought we'd do great. But even the thing of, buying the land and building the shopping center, that was the biggest check I ever wrote. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
well, and I'll say this too. You really look around at a lot of jiu-jitsu, and they're fantastic, people doing what they love. And I think it's a great business and all of that stuff. But you really didn't have anyone to look up to who's achieved at that level that you've made it to, I guess.
So, like I said, that was part of the other gifts that I was given, is learn who to discern, who to learn from, and who to listen to. And Professor Hafiel taught me how to run an academy and gave me the freedom and confidence to do it structurally, the system, but my way, and he taught me so much about the numbers and negotiating leases and, what makes sense here and what makes sense there, and talking things out and sometimes disagreeing and,
Yeah. So was he was your jiu-jitsu professor when you walked into your first
Yes,
gym?
He's always been my professor.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So when you walked in,
I started with him.
You met him, white belt, Robbie,
Yep.
former cheerleader, pharmaceutical sales,
Yeah.
kind of let yourself go a little bit. You're a little bit overweight. I saw a picture of you.
Yeah.
And that's how I saw the picture of you. I was like 4 months into jiu-jitsu, and I was getting murdered, as you do.
Yeah.
It's part of it. It's,
Yeah.
you need to suffer for like a
I
while.
remember our conversations, man.
And I texted him like, dude, I was like, something's wrong. My brain, whatever wires are connecting to my brain, to my body, don't have a good connection or something. I said, I'm just getting destroyed. And then I said, and you said something, and then I said, well, you were a cheerleader. I tried to say, like, of course you're going to be great at it or something. And you sent me a picture of yourself, and you were not in great shape at all. And then you ultimately sent me a book about defending yourself, and you're like, keep showing up. And it gave, and I did. And you're right, 100% right. You saw it. You saw something I didn't see. So I mean, I could have given up right there, and my life probably would be a little different now than it is. So,
so that's another gift that I've recognized God gave me. Is many times I can see the light in others they don't see yet. It's not all the way turned up, and that's why I'm a big cheerleader for people, and that's why I saw that, and Rafael saw that in me too, and that's why I get emotional when I thank him for that. Is thank you for believing in me and seeing something in me that I didn't see at the time. We all needed people to pour into us at different stages and different points in our life, and God puts them there at the right people at the right time. Because sometimes, you know, there's a saying in Eastern philosophy that is, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. You know, and I think there's that resonates, you know, so well. And yeah, I was a very out of shape 235 pounds. So I've you know, for 16 years now, I've lost and kept off, you know, all of that. So it's really, I changed my life. I got sick and tired of being sick and tired, basically. I mean, you hear this cliche, but cliches are that way for a reason. And yeah, I'm going to do this, and I'm just going to keep doing this. And
that was pre-Ozempic.
You know,
that's before they had Ozempic.
Yeah, before any GLP.
Now you could have did that.
Right.
Stayed on the couch.
Yeah, that was before any of that. And the first class I ever did, but I was a former athlete. So being a former athlete means, you know, I know what I can take. I know it's just, you know, I know it's just discomfort. I know what you can push through, and I know what real injury feels like. So the first class we did the warm up, and dude, I'm huffing and puffing, but I won't stop. And professor starts showing the first technique. Like, you know, so, I mean, you know how class goes. I'm going to explain it for the viewers that don't. You know, we're standing around basically in a huddle. There's an instructor and his, you know, his training partner or his demo partner showing the technique in the middle. And I'm standing kind of on the back end of it. And as he's showing, I still even remember the technique. And I'm breathing so loud, huffing and puffing, that people can't hear him. He stops class. He says, "Sir, are you going to be okay? Do you need me to call the ambulance or something? Like, do you need medical intervention?" And I promise he remembers. He tells this story all the time. I was not one of those. You learn also to not judge a book by its cover. Jiu-Jitsu teaches you that early on. You can't identify a student walk in the door. If you're a gambler, never bet on who's going to stick around and who's going to leave. You never know. You don't know what's inside of them all the way. And I promise you, I was not one of those, if he was, that he would bet that I would not only stick around and become a black belt, but, you know, own one of his premier schools. You know, he that was not what he thought on the first date when he was offering to call the ambulance. You know what I mean? But these fun stories, you know, make just for that and show, man, my basic message for people is, if I can do it, you can too. That's really it. The only superpower I have, I teach my students, is you can't make me quit. That's all I know, is how to keep going. But that's what people need to do. Just put one foot in front of the other. Just keep, no matter what, take the next step. Yeah. And thankfully, the strength of my faith, because I've heard someone define faith like that. Faith is taking that step without being able to see it.
Yeah.
You know?
Dude, I speaking of Rafael, my ADD's kicking in. Great point.
It's okay.
But he is hilarious on the internet, and he is fearless. I mean, he'll set Facebook on fire and walk off. He's probably one of the best followers you can have. But I would love to see him in this format, like him.
Yeah.
And
we should.
Yes, he would be pretty cool.
We should. We absolutely should. Yeah.
It would probably could get canceled pretty quick. Would be awesome.
We might have to put it on an underground channel. I don't know if YouTube will.
I don't know. It's all about being canceled now. All the canceled people are the heroes now, because they were all right. All the people we were talking about before, but some people were bold the whole time, and he was one that was bold.
So Rafael is hilarious, and so unless you know him, you don't realize that somehow he's just wanting to poke to see how you react. So he comes from a very diverse family, and he'll tell you that. I'll let him tell you your story, because you're right. He would be a great guest.
Now, so just to clarify, so we're part of Gracie United Gym, correct? Which Professor Gautreaux trained with the Gracie family.
Yes, Professor Gautreaux's black belt comes directly from Carlos Gracie Jr.
Okay.
Yes. And
can you explain the progression of Rafael to you and how?
So Rafael lived in Brasilia, which is the capital of Brazil, and he says he started at an academy, and then he had a major injury and life. I think, like I said, he would have to tell you the whole story about which injury it was, because he's a much better storyteller than I am. So I'll just give you the lineage rundown. And then he comes back after this injury, and he goes in and he says he sees the post on the wall, "Welcome, Professor Gautreaux." He says, I didn't know who he was by anything, not realizing, this guy is one of the legends of Jiu Jitsu. And so he goes in, starts training with Gautreaux all the way through to purple belt. And then Gautreaux moves, and then he starts training. Rafael starts training directly with Carlos Gracie Jr. as well, and the Gracie Baja team at that time that included Roger Gracie and all those guys.
Now those guys were huge because of the UFC 1. They basically went in and dominated.
Correct.
And everyone sort of had this revelation about jiu-jitsu.
Right. Jiu-jitsu.
That's
what I tell people, and they're like, "Oh yeah, but jiu-jitsu today." I'm like, "Yeah, but you're talking about the evolution of something that started because of that." And you and I are not MMA fighters. We don't have the time, youth, whatever, desire to want to pursue that as an art. It's developed an art within itself, because you have to know how to box and kickbox. You have to know how to wrestle, and you have to know jiu-jitsu. And so it's developed into this own thing. But for an older person, or even for a kid, if you can only just learn one thing, jiu-jitsu is the one thing to learn, because you can protect yourself. You can train it at a level that minimizes damage, especially, to your brain. Look, I love boxing. I think boxing is beautiful. I love to learn boxing. I know a little bit about boxing from a practitioner standpoint, probably more from being a martial artist and watching and being able to see what they're doing. I can see a lot more, because I have levels of training. Therefore, I can appreciate it as a spectator at a different level than before I trained. I see whole different things now, the angles, the distance management, the setups. So I appreciate it much more now. But you can't train it and not get popped in the head over and over again.
Yeah, I mean, even a untrained person can get it, and you can square up boxing, and you can be a trained boxer.
Yeah.
Younger woman, let's say a smaller frame woman, and that person's gonna. But on the other hand, you get a trained woman who knows jiu-jitsu and a much larger untrained person. She has very, very, very good chance, and she understands distance. She understands control,
especially if her goal is to get away and not strangle that person. If connecting with them is the last bit, she has a higher likelihood of getting to their back and strangling them than if she were untrained, right? In fact, I think there's two primary strategies I like to teach women off their back: is triangles and getting to the back. You can get to the back.
Yeah.
It's hard to defend what's behind you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You have no weapons back there. So, and as they say, strangulation, when you cut blood supply off to the brain, I don't care how big you can't grow muscles in front of your carotid arteries.
Right.
Once you have no more blood in your brain, you're going to sleep.
Like maybe like Brock Lesnar. That guy didn't have a neck that much. His neck looked like he grew necks.
Yeah,
he
traps the ears. Yeah, traps the ears.
So anyway, the lineage of Gautreaux to Rafael to where you at?
So then, yes. So they both got their black belts from Carlos Gracie Jr. But as you know, in training, man, the person you go from white to purple belt with is a big thing, because it basically develop your game. And basically, your signature has a lot to do with them and what they taught you and trained you up to that point. Those are your formative years. So they both received their black belt from Master Carlos Gracie Jr. And they both moved to America in 2006. I started training with Rafael in January of 2009. Like the first week of the new year. Not everybody sticks to their New Year's commitments. I did, and it wasn't all easy, and I'm not trying to make myself sound anything. Like I said, I just kept putting one foot in front of the other. The pain and discomfort of that was not greater than the pain and discomfort of still living the way I was living, so back to them. Then they reconnected once they got to America, I guess about 2010 or 2011. And then we've been, it's been great. In fact, Chicago will be here next month in a few weeks, Friday, October 4th, to come do a seminar at our school. So it's always nice to have a visit from him.
So Rafael started with one gym here.
Yep, he started in Hammond.
When
Rafael was here.
Okay.
He had one gym in Hammond, and then he would help us out in Baton Rouge, which ended up becoming, where we are now. And that's what grew to that. He invested a lot of time in us, especially in those early days. And that's one thing we were joking about this week. He says, everybody sees where we are, and many people weren't there to see where we came from, because we were both sacrificing everything to live our dreams. And you're talking about driving beat up vehicles with no AC in South Louisiana. That's different.
Yeah. So how many? So your gym, and then since then he's branched out, and I say he has, but I guess it's like a franchise.
Right, our association.
Our association. And when you're part of your gym, you can train at all the other Jiu-Jitsu.
Correct.
Within our association. Which is cool. Which is super cool.
We're up to like 30. Who would have to tell you? We're in the 30s. Like 30. I want to say 35 or 38 gyms. In Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama.
And so each gym, I don't know the average, but just whatever, 100, or it could be 3,000 total students involved in all this.
And we know
there's unbelievable.
We know there's over 60 Jiu-Jitsu schools worldwide. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, still in Brazil, some in Europe, and in the Northeast. So Jiu-Jitsu's in New Jersey, and there's some in New York, and
Dude.
Vermont. Jiu-Jitsu has schools in Vermont up there that report directly to him.
So one cool thing about jiu-jitsu that it was unexpected is you become, I guess, when you go through something difficult with someone, you get this bond.
The bonding,
Dude, they become like your brothers and sisters. Like you really love these people.
Yeah.
Like I remember one night, my wife has horses, and she happened to be like running this barn at the time. It was a commercial barn, like 20, whatever. Long story short, this hay truck shows up so late that everyone had left for the night. And so I had to unload like 600 bales of hay by myself out of this trailer. It was like midnight when I started. And then the next day, I had all the people at the gym like, dude, why wouldn't you call us? We would have, like, I had really 3 people that would have left their house at midnight to come help me move hay. You really get this awesome community of people that you...
Well, and I remember over Ida, our schools in Lafourche was decimated. And their homes were decimated. And you and Patrick and everybody came together, and we used our school as a drop-off point. And, man, we filled trailers of supplies just off our community to go down there. And it's a beautiful thing. And you're right, when you struggle with people and you come out the other side, it's a deeper bond. And you see it in military guys and all that. It's a deeper bond than, just drinking buddies.
Yeah, I mean, I've been involved in a lot of churches over those years, and like none of them are as New Testament of a church as our jiu-jitsu gym. I thought whenever
Well,
we're
thank
loading
you.
supplies on this trailer, and then another church I'm involved with, I'm like, I wonder what they got up to. I wonder if they need help loading trailers. And they weren't doing anything.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, this is in our backyard. We have all these
Yeah.
people we could be. But anyway,
Yeah.
I don't mean to criticize them, but I will say we're not even a church or nothing. We're just
Yeah.
people who fight each other
Yeah.
and are growing together. And
Yeah.
you're like, hey, let's help out. And so
Yeah.
I'm proud to have that we've done that. And then also you and I made some content to raise money for the Hawaii, because we have an affiliate gym in Hawaii.
Yeah.
And they had lost everything in that situation. And I remember we made some gym to raise money.
Yeah,
for that guy.
Hawaii's crazy still. You know, they've approved. So I still keep in touch with my friend Christian on Maui. And after the Lahaina fires, it's 2 years later. It was 2 years in August. And, man, he and I talked. He was still emotional, you know, a couple of weeks ago when I talked to him. They have, in that area, they've only approved 7, at least as of a month ago, 7 permits, 0 commercial permits. 2 years later.
Wow.
Yeah. There's some fishy stuff going on, and a lot of it's hush hush. For example, I think they said they lost, and I saw this clip looking up Maui on YouTube, and it was Tucker Carlson talking to someone, and it was just a clip about a minute long, and they were talking about how all that's been hush hush in the major media. They said 750 kids are missing. He says, after a couple months, what does 750 kids missing mean? You're on an island. It's not that big.
Yeah. No remains or anything?
I said, well, that's the thing. What does 750 kids missing mean? You don't hear about it. You don't hear about follow-up. Where else in the entire world do 750 kids die and you don't hear about it? Where? Yeah. Like they say you can't even Google search it right now. Like it's been, you know, but we knew these because we saw them saying this, you know,
so
in the immediate aftermath.
Right. So the
And
parents
then,
of their, so there's like 750 parents saying
well,
our kids are missing.
I'm sure some of the parents have passed too, you know, there's a lot of fishy stuff that has been going on, and still this many, you know, 2 years later.
At this point, I believe anything. I used to be like, oh, that's conspiracy, bro. I'm all in. Only thing I'm holding out, Earth is round. I'm gonna hold on to that because I understand the way satellites work, and everything else just makes sense in my mind right now. And if you dismantle that, but not sure. Pretty sure we didn't go to the moon now. And I would have argued that we did go to the moon, but now I'm probably up to 95% that we didn't go to the
radiation
moon.
belt and things like that. You're like,
I know, yeah, I don't know. But anyway, that's fascinating what you're saying. I can't wait to see what that's about. And then you've been hearing all the about the Charlie Kirk stuff and with Israel and all this other.
So
I don't want to get into it, but I don't know much about it. That's why I don't want to talk about it.
I haven't. I've been real focused on learning and not into social media very much.
Well, it's lit right now.
With the exception of my friends and family and things of students and keeping up with them, I haven't been keeping up with a lot of the.
Yeah.
Because how does it help me help my people achieve their goals? That's kind of how I look at it.
That's fair.
Yeah,
no, it's not.
So
it's just an exciting adventure, but
people,
you're right. Yeah.
And I know because I hear people talking about it, and so I'll hear a little bit of this here and a little bit of this there, but I don't go deep diving into it, you know.
Well,
I'm learning more about AI. That's what fascinates me now. How can, you know, what AI tools can we utilize to make our life better, to make our life easier, to make our, not even just easier, what am I missing that AI can do for me that's going to make my life more efficient? You know, and like you said about the plants, they're missing all this data that because you saved so much time, they've been able to fill in the blanks. You know, I'm trying to understand workflows, which is what you're talking about, the connection of, you know, of ChatGPT Premium. So I'm very interested in learning more about that.
I'll definitely show you my setup whenever after this.
I'm interested in learning more.
It's the connectors is what they call it. It's in there. It's the premium subscription. But
and like how to edit content, because that's not a skill set that I have, or the patience to sit in front of the computer and go back over this and go back over that and go back over this and go back over that and then cut this and then go back over this and then go back, you know. I don't have the patience and time
Yeah.
and skill set to do that efficiently. But if AI can, you feed this either soundbite and lay it over some video or B-roll, or you feed in some video and it chops the pieces that
Yeah.
is dead air. You know, that's the kind of thing that I'm interested in.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
I
how
can
to
help.
do
I
that
can
kind
help
of
you
stuff.
work through some of that. I have some ideas for you. I can
Yeah.
help you work through some of that.
That would be great.
Well, cool. Well, so we've moved through your family, how you became a jiu-jitsu black belt, your gym, your success in your career. So where are we going? Where are we going next? What's Robbie doing next?
So, man, something I'm really excited and passionate about is I partnered up with Dr. Coleman, and he has a disc center. So there's this technology called IDD decompression therapy.
Okay.
And for bulging discs and herniated discs in the right patient. And Dr. Coleman is an expert in differentiating what's the right patient and what's not. That's one thing in his character. I've known him over 20 years that, you know, the 2 orthopedic surgeries I needed to have, he sent me to the best surgeons. So he has a level of discernment of what he can help you with and what is outside of his realm of practice. So he is a high character individual that understands the disc and what he can help with and what, you know, needs to, what surgery is the last ditch effort for you. But there's a lot of people that can be saved from having surgery. And so that's really helping him, and like I said, applying the lessons I know to jiu-jitsu, to business, to help him. He is amazing clinician, an amazing doctor, so that he can focus on what he does best. I help to, you know, optimize maybe some leadership and strategy to get everybody else on the same page and get the word out. And
So you're doing some type of partnership in a new business with him that is this
Correct.
new technology, I guess.
Correct.
I see. And you
Well,
guys
the technology actually isn't brand new. Our technology, the tables that we use are a little newer. It's advanced, but the technology of decompression therapy has been out and well studied. I mean, it's well studied by the Mayo Clinic, Cleveland Clinic, and some extraordinary numbers. To be honest, I don't know why it hadn't been more of a push.
And so it's a table, it's a decompression
Correct.
table, and it's something you're thinking of having I guess a small business that someone can, not a full chiropractor, but just a small business, someone can go and get on this table.
Correct. So we have one next door to the gym. So we opened one in our shopping center. And yes, we have a couple of tables there. And so what it does is he takes your MRI and identifies where your pathology is. Where's your disc bulge or your herniation?
Automatically does this?
The MRI does.
Okay.
So he reads it,
Oh, I see, I see.
himself. It takes the human. In fact, he works very closely with your neighbor. That's who he sends.
The guy right next door?
Yeah.
Victor? Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's
That's where he sends all his patients to get MRIs.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So we work very closely with them, and he identifies where it is in the MRI, and then goes through the protocols, basically off of your height, your weight, you know, where your injury is, and feeds it into the computer, and it creates the angle of pull and how much it pulls. So decompression and how it's different from traction. Traction pulls a weight on your whole spine. So it does a little bit of or like inversion therapy hanging.
Yeah.
It does a little bit of decompression over your whole spine. Okay. And that can help you a little bit, right? But as soon as you take the pressure off, everything comes back.
Okay.
Like it's like snapping a rubber band, so to speak.
Okay.
Where what's different in IDD decompression therapy is we can target, say it's L5, S1. So we create the angle based off of where it's harnessed on you, but harnessed on your hips. So based off of your height,
Okay.
right, and your specific anatomy. So it can, like I said, it anchors your upper body in and then pulls on your hips. And based off the angle of pull, can target that specific disc space.
What? That's cool.
So what it's going to do is, and then based off of your weight, and it's a progressive over these many visits of how long it's going to take, because it's reconditioning that part of your body and rehydrating your disc. So let's say it pulls to 60 pounds. So the low pull is it slowly gets and slowly pulls the 60-pound weight off of that disc. Okay? Then that's the low tension point. And then let's say the high tension point is 100 pounds. So then it's going to go from 60 to 100, right? And then it has such a minor oscillation, you don't even feel it. But what it's doing, it's like inflating a tire. It's pumping and creating a vacuum in that disc to draw the nutrients and the hydration back into it, right? So it kind of reinflates the disc. And then it goes through the rest period where it goes back to 60 pounds.
And is it just straight pulling, or is it up or down? Is there angles?
It's the angles start before the therapy. So it would have a different angle if it was, L2 or L3. It would have a different angle. It doesn't change the angle through the protocol.
Is there any electrodes, or is there any other hardware you can put to make measurements as to if you're targeting the right disc, or, if how well it's working?
So all the protocols and calculations have already been done, previous to that.
Yeah.
But there are other therapies they use to help with that, but that is that's the thing. That's the technology that's doing it.
That's cool.
He does use a couple other therapies to help augment it, to help improve it, to help increase the blood flow after the treatment. But that's the treatment so data. So like we talked about measuring things. There's the only way we really know things is if we measure things, right? And so these are published studies. 78% of people that have a surgery for a disc injury have to have a second surgery within 5 years. 78% have to have a second surgery in the same area within 5 years.
Okay.
Decompression, and like I said, this is studied by the Mayo Clinic, Cleveland Clinic. 89% of patients after 5 years are still pain-free, are still symptom-free from this therapy.
Does he get a lot of feedback from people immediately after saying I feel relief?
Absolutely. I've seen people with my own two eyes, that are on like walker to like within a couple of weeks of treatment, like dancing, like jumping up, hugging you, that I can't believe I've been suffering with this for so long.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like it's genuinely, it's mind blowing. Like,
yeah.
I'm.
Is it safe
Yeah,
to perform? I mean, he obviously
it's not invasive, right? It's
right.
not
He
like
performs it, right? He himself.
So it's the table that does. You know what I mean? It's the table that does. It's his
table's got the technology,
it's
right?
his correct. It's his knowledge that programs the table.
I see.
But the table is actually doing the work.
Okay.
Yeah. It's really extraordinary. I'll show it to you. It's man.
Yeah.
And they kind of run it like a, for lack of a better word, it's a spa environment.
Okay.
It's calming. You lay on. They harness you, and you kind of relax and take a nap for like 20 minutes. So yes, it's pain free.
So is it
it's
in
physics.
It's
physics.
Yeah. Is it in his chiropractic clinic, or is
Yeah.
it a separate?
Yep.
It just seems like a cool franchise.
Yep.
To whatever.
So talking about business, I think business is a spiritual game, and especially if done the right way, you and I help add value to people's lives and improve people's lives. And if we can improve people's lives, that's how you make money, right?
Right.
They say money will make the world go round. I don't think money is what people think it is. People have this emotional attachment to money. Money is just a ledger. It's a number.
Yeah.
And we have to put, as humans, so that we can measure things, we have to put some level of value on a measurement, right?
Right.
So that you move resources. That's what money is.
Yeah.
That's what money is.
Yeah.
It's not an emotional attachment you have to it.
And some people, it's security from fear. Some people live in a lot of fear. Like I know you mentioned, I know people that have plenty, and they're still looking for more, and they're on their last leg. They don't have much longer to go. They'll miss their kids' football games and baseball games and soccer practices for a couple
and we have an emotional
$100.
attachment even on the fear side, then we're afraid to lose it. So then you're doing all these things that you know what I mean, as opposed to looking at it like value, right? So it's a numerical understanding of value.
Yeah, you don't love it. Money's not evil, but the love of money is
Correct.
the problem
Correct.
because that becomes your
But
your
when
God,
you understand, like AI, that it's a tool, it's a leverage point,
right?
then you can learn to utilize it to do better.
Yeah,
And so what I mean is, if I add value to people's lives and they trade that value, that's their value, is money. And then that's how we can grow.
right.
And that's how we can, scale this and then add it in another location that helps even more people, from suffering from this.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Because, I mean, the data in America, do you know that the third largest expenditure in healthcare is disc injuries? The third largest expenditure. I know cancer is number one. I'm not sure exactly what number two is, but number three is this level of injury. So that's a lot of people you could help. And by, taking care of the money part, that means you can go and have more. Why? Because people need to do it. So you create jobs that people can go and help these people. And then, for example, people like to trash on billionaires, but for a person to become a billionaire, you know how many millionaires they made?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
You know how many millionaires they made?
Yeah.
And of those millionaires, you know how many people whose jobs they've given? Because not everybody wants to be a millionaire. Not everybody wants to do the things it takes to be a millionaire.
Right.
Right? So there's some people that still make excellent income that those millionaires gave jobs to. And then the other side of that is, man, you have a passion project. I have a passion project of I hate to see people lose to their demons. I hate to see, because I was in that battle. You know what I mean? I hate to see, man, my big thing is people messing with kids and child trafficking.
Yeah.
And man, that
needs to not exist anymore.
it needs to not exist.
Yeah.
But you're always going to have, unfortunately, people that are, but how do you do that? It takes money.
Yeah.
It takes money. It takes money. If you saw Jim Caviezel's movie, I mean, you have all these former SEALs and former Special Forces guys, and they go out to these projects where these are happening, and they go and they save these kids.
Yeah, they need boats and guns.
Yeah, how'd they
and
get there?
Fly them over there.
How'd they get there?
Those guys.
And they got to
guys,
feed their families. They
Yeah.
at least need basic living.
Those guys should never have to ask for $1.
That's what I mean.
Those guys should just say, all right, if anybody wants to do that, there should be something where they can just go make that happen.
Exactly.
I agree. I think the ultimate, I mean, you and I understand the ultimate core of all of the problem of humanity is the fall of man. And we are living, and the ultimate solution is the redemption of man.
Absolutely.
And so it's one thing for you to not want to steal, and it's another thing for you to be holding back your desire to steal. And I would say that the only authentic, I mean, you and I can build some fantastic attributes into ourselves with hard work, discipline, but the heart of man, when you're talking about sin and when you're talking about carnal desire and you're talking about things that, frankly, our opponent is an expert at using and leveraging against us. There's only one power that is more powerful than that, and that's the power of God. And
Amen.
that is translated into the hearts and the minds and the spirit of people and the core of people through the gospel. It's through the presentation of. Then the gospel, it sounds, when you say gospel, it sounds religion, but the word in the Greek, it just means the good news.
Yeah,
it just means information.
Yeah, the good news.
Hey, by the way, that's the story of the Bible. Hey, by the way, man was lost, but God has a redemption plan for humanity, and it's rooted in love, and it's about you coming to a place where you morally will say, you know what, I'm not. That's what the 10 Commandments were for. Like, okay, yes, I can't do these, but God sent His Son, and He did those, and He paid the penalty for us not doing those, and we accept that, and we're there. We're there, and then He can transform and pull that stuff. So I'm a strong believer that is the core to resolve at some point. that is the cutting out of the cancer. But in the meantime, if there's a guy with a gun that's going to go and get the freaking kids, let's pile them full of money and resources. Let's, whatever they need, let's, as a society, let's do that. You know, let's do that.
Yeah, because otherwise, how do we get to that source? You know what I mean? Because as God gave us free will, so do we force their hand? You know what I mean? Like, exactly.
Yeah.
And all we could do is make sure that we're feeding into that spirit ourselves, versus battling our demons. You know what I mean?
That.
And overcoming that. One of the most, I know you've seen Coach Carter, the Marianne Williamson quote in that, her from A Course in Miracles, our greatest fear is not that we are inadequate, our greatest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. And it keeps going on of who am I to be, and forgive me that I'll misquote, you know, beautiful and radiant and loving, but who am I not to be when we're in the image of God? Basically, we're all children of God. Yeah. And us dimming our light so that other people don't feel insecure is not serving at our highest purpose. When we shine our light and share our gifts that God gave us, you give other people the confidence to share their gifts too. And so
that's beautiful, man.
I would have to read it to you. I left my phone down that has the exact quote. And to be honest with you, I even read it to Angela, and I can't get through it without getting choked up and cry, because it's so beautiful the way she wrote it. And it's basically like, walk in the room and be who you are. And who you are, that light inside of you is God inside of you, you know, and the way you show that to the world is through the gifts that he gave you. As long as you have the humility and understanding that you're just the what's the word? You're just the conveyor. You know what I mean? It's not you. It's because he gave you these gifts. These are your spiritual gifts God gave you. Yeah. You're meant to bring that to the world. Yeah. You're meant that, and that's how you give other people that confidence, is by you sharing your gifts with other people, and then they have that confidence and ability to share their gifts, and that's how we make the world a better place.
Love that.
You know, and that's where I feel my purpose is, to just live that. I think that's all of our purpose. But how many recognize that? I've recognized it, thankfully. Yeah. You know, I think you've recognized it. You know, I know you've recognized it. And that's given me, I think, truthfully, maybe Jiu Jitsu helped us to practice it, right? Yeah. But I think that's the confidence when you walked in that boardroom and you can talk to all those C-suites, and you know none of them are greater, but none of them are lesser. You know what I mean? I think that's the confidence. And maybe Jiu Jitsu helped to train your nervous system and your emotional center to be able to do that. But that's still, you know, that's still Christ in you that lived it. You know what I mean? That, because we're in a battle every day, and the great deceiver is in our mind. You know what I mean? Because we are fed from all the noise of the world, and that's the other part. I don't doom scroll. Yeah. Because I think that's, there's a lot of good stuff in there. Yeah. And then there's a lot of that's just meant to propagandize and divide and deceive and all that. So Angela's very new to Instagram. This is a funny story. Angela's very new to Instagram. And she just really has it so that, you know, when somebody shares something with her, she could see it. And I think for work, they asked her, you know, about something. So anyway, last night I get home from the gym and take a shower, and I lay on the couch with her for a minute, and she's flipping through all the puppy stuff. And she's like, how come when I go here, all of my stuff is just puppy? And then she showed me the guy with the lion, and he's just like it's you rolling around on the ground with your dog, like just the lion all over him. And look, a great big lion, but just like it's his puppy or his kitty cat, just like, you know. And then she shows me more puppy stuff, and she's like, how come this is all that's in there? And I was like, well, it's funny you say that. It's probably because I sent you something, your mom might have sent you something.
Yeah.
And they sent you, but since you don't do anything else on Instagram.
Yeah, her algorithm's
that's
all
100% your algorithm.
That's so funny.
Dude, it is 100%.
So if you were to ask Angela what's Instagram, she'd be like, it's just this thing about puppies. I don't know.
About puppies and yeah. And she's like, we need to get a tiger. I'm like, yeah, that's what we need to do.
I hope that you could pray for my algorithm, because I just searched some weird stuff so that I could see the craziest.
Well, Dan Martell talks about a way to go in there, and I forget is it either Dan Martell? Yeah, Dan Martell and who else? Gary Vee talks about how to program your algorithm. Is that when you see something you like, comment, is it FYP? Comment something. It's three little. I'll figure out what the three little letters are. But if you comment, then it adds that to your algorithm.
Oh, that's cool.
And then it takes something off of it.
Well, so back when Twitter was like full fascist, super dominated, I figured out like on my tweets I could just I would just like hashtag Obama is great. And like that would be, but the other thing wouldn't be nothing to do with like it'd be like Obama's the worst and all this, or whatever I say, and then as long as you do that, it like messed it up, and your tweet would go out unfiltered, and you could get a lot more views that way. You just have to lean it, like say liberal, nice stuff to liberal.
Right, that's hilarious.
So if you put like Hail Satan in there, be like, we gotta push this guy up to the top.
I believe it, man.
Yeah, I'm just joking about that. But hey, look, we've been an hour. 40 minutes doesn't feel like it, huh? It's been awesome though.
Yeah,
been awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity. I appreciate you asking me, but man, I have all the questions for you, to be honest with you. Like all the cool stuff that you're doing. Where are you? And because I see, but I don't know that they all know. I know that you've gotten the patents for the shooting net and the shooting system. And look, I know we've had the conversation, and I'd like to be in the right rooms to have people to take that to the next level. But from the way your tech is today, what can AI do anything to help bring it to the next level that doesn't take a huge additional investment from you to make it better? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For those of guys that don't know, and Craig, I'm sure everybody on here knows Craig. Maybe some people that are watching this don't know Craig. Craig is an inspiring, at least to me, inventor, and invented an apparatus. I'll let him explain it to you. It's his podcast about when there are shootings in schools or federal buildings and things like that, how it can immediately sound recognize, target it, and throw a big animal net over them, and basically send an immediate email out to everybody there and all the law enforcement to come immediately.
Yeah, basically it. So it's mounts on the ceiling of a school. We use the 800 psi gas, so it's shooting a net. It sounds like a shotgun when it goes off. We're blasting this net out. You walk into a room and you discharge a weapon. It targets. It's less than half of a second, and it blast this net on you. It's got a 30-foot range, so one in a classroom can cover the whole classroom. We blast this net on you. It takes about 30 seconds to get out of the net. Net's made for catching deer and bison and buffalo. So it's sort of entangling the more you try to deal with it. But either way, every 10 seconds, like once we hit you with one, every 10 seconds, regardless if you shoot, we just keep hitting you with another one back to back to back. And then we got some AI to answer your question about AI. For facial recognition stuff, we didn't transmit that to all the other drones. We call them drones. It's a robot. It mounts to the ceiling. We translate that to all the other ones in the school, and now you don't need to shoot again. Anytime you try to move in the hallway, the net, anywhere you move, you're just going to keep getting annoyed with these things. Awesome. Every 10 seconds, we want to annoy you with these things.
Wow.
Most shootings, the police get there after 10 minutes. Most shootings are over after 5 minutes. The shooter kills whomever they want, takes their own life. 5 minutes later, the police show, and we spend $1 billion a year training for the police to show up 10 minutes later. What we do is we not only engage the shooter, but we send a text message to all the teachers, to law enforcement, to the 911 dispatch with a map overhead of the school and a physical pin dropped on the classroom where it went off. And we've loaded the gun library, is what they call it. It's just some people have recorded all the weapons with all this, whatever. And AI uses that to determine what type of weapon it is and the type of ammo. Yeah, based off the sound it makes. Yeah, and it can do. it's very, very accurate. You can say a 5.56 with a suppressor and 9mm rounds. We have the sound profile. So officers responding, they know what they're about to run into.
Sure.
So ideally, it's not I mean, I'd like to get it immediately. I'm very ambitious, but I've never taken a product like this all the way across the line where it needs to go. And I've funded it as far as is appropriate. You know what I'm saying? And at some point, I can't fund it the whole way.
Sure.
And so I just need help with it. It's like I need people who are much bigger than me. I don't know what the return is. At this point, I just need you to give me money. Let us finish developing it. I have a working prototype. It'll mount on the ceiling. Probably not hit you with the net if you shoot in the room, but it does aim towards the sound and shoots the net. I have that now. It does send the text message. We have a functional prototype right now. It needs further development. I have the developers. I have a relationship with the Ascension Sheriff. I have all the people in place to bring this thing all the way across the line as far as R&D goes. I need about $1 million to finish it, about $1 million in about 6 months, and this will get us to a production phase. And then I've got a relationship with a manufacturer who can take it in. Not a manufacturer, a company that has products mass produced around the world, and they know how to get something mass produced or whatever. Right. And that would be the point where we can give equity. And like I said, the company itself is structured. I have an operating agreement. I can take on partners right now and give away percentages of equity. So if someone wants to give us money, we can give you equity. Or if you want to donate money, and I wanted to wait till we get to manufacturing for that. For equity, because then I can say, okay, there's 100,000 schools, and this is how much you can make per school. And this isn't just for schools; it can be applied everywhere.
Absolutely,
any business,
government buildings, all that.
Yeah, just like a fire, like a smoke alarm. So, we're there. Like I said, right now I just need money and I need help. I'm running a lot of business stuff, but now I need help for the R&D. If we can get past that, dude, give me 6 months and give me the money. We can get it functional. And like I said, I'm willing to give away equity and take on partners. And because I want to make this happen. It's important to me. And but I appreciate you.
Yeah, that's a passion project I'm talking about. Like, for sure. Like I say, anything about protecting kids, because that's really what the world is.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, we know the data of like bad people. Most bad people were just really traumatized kids.
Hurt people.
You know, not saying all. You have some that psychologically or biochemically, structurally, but that's less than 1%. The bad things that happen, the bad,
Yeah. Well, brother, Robbie Gautreaux, truly great man.
Thank you, man.
Proud to know you. Very proud of you.
I appreciate the privilege and an honor to sit here with you and share a little bit about me, and always have great conversation. Great to talk to you. So thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Well, let's can we do this again?
Absolutely. We need to bring Happy next time.
Bring any ideas you have. I love jiu-jitsu people. That'd be fun to get them in here.
Yeah,
dude, you got a variety of characters you deal with that walk in the gym. So but feel open. That, like I said, this is your space as much as mine. So if you say if you'd like to interview someone, you're welcome. It's for you. I'll engineer for you and make it a cool content for you, brother.
I appreciate it. Great.
All right,
Thank
man.
you so much. Love you, man.